The following information session discusses newborn behaviours and needs in order to increase fathers' understanding and in turn increase their support for their babies and partners. Understanding newborn behaviour and development can also help interaction between father and baby and therefore increase the father-baby bond. We know that a father's interaction with his child is now well documented to be very important in shaping the person they become. In the session, the following topics will be discussed. Feeding, what to feed your baby, when to feed your baby. Sleeping, baby sleep patterns, sleep cues, and information on safe sleeping. Changing nappies and bathing. Safe car travel, tips on driving with your baby. Settling baby, how to settle your baby. Coping strategies, how to get through it. Screening tests, what tests will your baby have in hospital? Coping with separation, how to maintain your bond. Breastfeeding is the natural way to feed a newborn. Breast milk is a living food which changes according to the needs of the baby. Over the first days and weeks, milk begins as colostrum and gradually transitions into mature. Colostrum, or the first milk, is made up of many immune protective factors and developmental factors. Colostrum occurs in very small amounts, but it is very important for the early days of the baby's life. In these early days, the colostrum will line the baby's gut with microbes and begin the immune process for the baby's entire life. On around day 3, the breast milk composition changes as it becomes more nutrient dense in larger volumes to support the rapid growth of the baby. From then on, the breast milk is composed largely of fat, protein, and carbohydrate, but it still contains essential vitamins and minerals and immune protective properties that cannot be replicated by formula or anything else. The breast milk changes with your baby's growth and development needs. Newborns babies feed very often, sometimes as frequently as 1 to 2 hourly. The reason for this is that their tiny tummies are so small that they can only take in small volumes at a time. This amount of breast milk is readily digested and they are soon ready for another feed. This diagram demonstrates the volume of a newborn baby's stomach from day 1 to day 10. So you can see the first circle represents the 5 to 7 mils that's available on day 1. From day 3, they're around 22 to 27 mil capacity, and from day 10 onwards, around 60 mils, increasing as they get bigger with their breastfeeding. With breast milk being so nutrient dense, it makes sense that a breastfeeding mother must look after her own nutrition and health so that her body is able to produce good quality milk for her baby. The breast milk will change composition and volume to suit the growth of the baby and the amount that he or she is drinking. By feeding the baby when he or she is hungry, the mother will increase her milk supply according to the baby's needs. Babies make instinctive clues to let their mothers know that they are ready to be fed. When a baby begins to stir, turn her head, and appear to be seeking, putting her hands to her mouth or making mouthing motions, these are signs that she is hungry. She should be fed now. If she isn't fed shortly after she makes these indications, she may become quite distressed and feeding her will be more difficult. Therefore, it's important to be aware of these cues so that baby will not become too distressed, which will in turn distress her mother. If the chance passes and she has already become distressed, she should be settled and then fed when she. To help the mother with breastfeeding, a father can be supportive and encourage her to rest when baby sleeps. Also, encouraging a healthy diet rich in carbohydrates, vegetables, fruit, and protein will ensure that her body can adequately make the breast milk for your baby. The World Health Organization recommends exclusive breastfeeding until at least 6 months of age. After this time, solids can be introduced to accompany breastfeeding. However, the mother can continue to feed until she and baby decide to stop breastfeeding. If breastfeeding is not the right choice for a family, their decision will be supported and the midwives will help put a feeding quota in place for discharge from hospital. Child health drop-in centres can advise guidelines for formula feeding and a newborn after discharge from hospital and as she or he continues to grow. Newborn babies require a lot of sleep to enhance growth, form memories and renew energy stores, and will spend most of their early days sleeping and feeding. Whilst infant sleep patterns can be very tiring for their parents, most infant behaviour is instinctive and therefore cannot be changed. Their pattern will generally consist of waking up, having a feed, and going back to sleep. To encourage better sleeping between feeds, parents should observe their baby for tired signs and attempt to settle them early rather than waiting until the infant is overtired. Ensuring that baby is clean, dry, fed and warm will help him or her settle. Creating a routine around settling time will help baby to learn when sleep time is coming. However, very early on, it is normal for infants to fall asleep cuddling or being fed. Awareness of the safe sleeping guidelines has reduced the incidence of sudden infant death syndrome to 0.3 per 1,000 births in Australia. For this reason, it's vital that parents are made aware of these guidelines following the birth of their baby. So this involves having a smoke-free environment, breastfeeding your baby, positioning your baby's feet at the bottom of the cot, sleeping baby on their back only, wrapped firmly, but without their head covered in any way, and sleeping them on a firm, clean, well-fitting mattress. The following diagram displays a safe sleeping environment. So you can see that the baby's been placed at the bottom of the bed. His head's not covered. He's on a firm, clean mattress. He's not on a water bed or a beanbag or a couch. He's got his head uncovered. He's on his back. His bedclothes are tucked in securely. And there's no soft toys, bumpers, or anything else around him. Changing nappies and baby bathing. In the first 6 days of life, a newborn's urinary output will increase daily, and this is a good sign that he or she is getting enough breast milk or formula. This means that on day 1, he or she is expected to have 1 wet nappy, on day 2, 2 wet nappies, and so on until day 5, when she would be expected to have at least 5 wet nappies. From then on, he or she would be expected to have 6 to 8 wet nappies per day. Urates or orange rusty stains on the nappy are normal within the first few days of life. However, after this, a visit to the doctor is warranted if they occur, as they might be a sign of dehydration. Normal baby urine should be pale in colour, indicating that he or she is well hydrated, and any odour or signs of blood in the urine should be investigated. Bowel motions will also change over time, beginning with a thick tarry stool called meconium. before changing to a greenish brown, which is still quite thick and sticky, and then finally a mustardy yellow stool over the next few weeks and for the continuation of breastfeeding. Bowel motions will vary amongst most infants, however constipation in breastfed babies is unlikely, and bowel motions should always be soft and will increase in volume as the baby is feeding more, with at least 3 bowel motions a day common in the early weeks. As the baby gets older, bowel patterns will be different for every baby, and some may open their bowels as little as 3 times per week. For this reason, it's important to look at baby's output as well as weight gain, and everything should be considered when. How do I know if baby's getting enough? Is he or she having enough wet or dirty nappies? Is he or she happy and content and settling between feeds? Is he or she gaining weight and growing? If all of these things are happening, then there's a good chance that your baby is getting enough. The following diagram depicts the process of how to change a baby nappy. So first of all, you want to gather all your supplies and get everything ready. Then you might want to occupy the baby with a toy or just talk to your baby so that they don't become distressed. You lift the baby's legs up so that you can get to the area that needs to be cleaned. And then you use a wipe with some water or a baby wipe or whatever you're going to use to clean the baby, and wipe always from the front to the back of the baby. Then you're going to put a clean nappy on, and then you secure the baby somewhere safe and go and wash your hands. Never leave the baby unattended even for a second, because they can fall very easily and move very quickly. How to bath your baby. It's important that new parents are informed about how and when to bath their new baby. It's not essential to bath your baby every day, although it is essential to keep them clean and dry. Sometimes a warm washcloth can be used to clean their face, hands, creases and bottoms when bathing is not going to be performed. All required equipment should be gathered prior to beginning the bath so that the parent doesn't have to leave the baby unattended for any length of time, as babies can drown in less than 5 centimetres of water. So get your bath ready. Check the water temperature, and it should be between 37 and 38 degrees, not too hot or too cold. You can use a cotton wool ball to wash the baby's eye. Each eye should be washed separately from the inside to the outside so that nothing gets spread from one eye to the other. It's not necessary to clean the baby's nose or ears with cotton tips, and this should be avoided because this can cause serious damage to delicate baby ears and noses. Then you can take your baby behind the shoulder to hold on to them firmly and then lower them into the bath. At this point you can start from their head and work your way down towards their feet, cleaning all of their little creases and crevices to get any milk and saliva and sweat that might be around anywhere, and clean your baby. It's not necessary to use any soaps or lotions, as these can irritate the baby's skin and also make them slippery, which might cause you to drop your baby. Never leave your baby unattended even for a second in very shallow water, as babies can still drown in this situation. And always secure your baby somewhere safe before you go and empty the bath water as soon as you've finished bathing. Safe car travel. It's important for parents to be aware of how to safely transport their babies and children in the car. Children under 6 months must travel in a rear-facing child car seat that meets Australian and New Zealand safety standards. It's important that this is fitted correctly so that it's effective in reducing risk to children travelling in the car. Other important factors for consideration are that children should be seated in the back of the car, there should not be loose items positioned in the car, and children should never be left alone in the car for any amount of time. In Queensland's hot climate, internal car temperature can rise to 40 degrees hotter than external car temperature in as little as 5 minutes. This means that babies and children left in cars are at risk of heat stroke, dehydration, suffocation, and death. Raising Children Network recommends stopping every hour on long car trips to give babies and children a chance to move around and stretch to make the journey more bearable for everyone. You might want to bring with you some nappies, a change of clothes, wipes, water for everyone to drink, and you might want to bring some soothing music or sounds that baby likes to help them remain calm while you're travelling in the car. Settling your baby. Many new parents struggle with newborn sleep patterns. It's normal for a baby to wake several times during the night for feeds. Although gradual settling routines and bedtime rituals are useful as babies grow, newborn babies will often change their sleep behaviours over the first few weeks several times. For this reason, parents need to develop coping strategies for lack of sleep rather than trying to train baby to sleep when they want him or her to sleep. As mentioned earlier, to settle their baby, parents should first make sure their baby has been fed and is warm, clean and dry. Following this, they can observe baby for tired signs, which could be any of the following: grimacing, yawning, grizzling, frowning, sucking, staring, snuggling in, jerky movements, becoming overactive, clenching fists, rubbing eyes, fussiness or crying. Wrapping baby or placing them in a baby sleeping bag may help to minimise startling reflex, which can wake them up. The parent should then cuddle or rock the baby to sleep and may sing or use gentle shh sounds. There is some evidence that white noise can be helpful in settling babies also, as they've been familiar with loud noises in the womb such as their mother's heartbeat and the swishing of the blood through the umbilical cord. Sometimes a warm bath may help, or taking them for a walk or a drive. Crying is baby's only method of communication, and it's okay for babies to cry as long as their needs are being met. This is important information for new parents to be aware of. Sometimes you can use slow, repetitious, gentle patting, and you need to remain calm yourself so that you can help settle your baby. The arrival of a new baby is an emotional, enjoyable and challenging time for new parents. There is much to learn about responding to and caring for a new baby. Sometimes, despite the best efforts, babies will not settle, and this can be very difficult for the parents. In order to cope with this, some strategies may include one parent resting while the other takes the baby for a little while, sharing the load between the two of you, maybe going for a walk with or without the baby while someone else watches him or her, accepting help from family and friends, visiting child health centres as they may be able to give you specific strategies and discuss your own specific problems or issues with you that you might not find on websites or different places. You can also access reputable websites such as raisingchildren.net, parentline.com.au, cope.org.au, and other resources are available in your red book that you get on discharge from hospital. For fathers, their role in supporting their partner can be vital in this newborn phase. By acknowledging the mother's achievements daily and showing understanding, fathers can help their partners to cope better with the changes occurring. Fathers should also make time for spending alone as a couple and take time to both talk and listen to their partners about the way they are both feeling about the baby and the changes in their lives since the arrival of the baby. Listen and talk to each other. Screening tests for babies. There are two forms of testing on newborn babies which routinely take place with parental consent in Queensland in the first few days after birth. These are the neonatal screening test and the healthy hearing test. The neonatal screening test involves a tiny piercing of the baby's heel 48 to 72 hours after the first feed. Blood is collected from this location and blotted onto a testing strip and then sent away for analysis. The screening test excludes the presence of phenylketonuria, hypothyroidism, cystic fibrosis and galactosemia, as well as 20 other conditions. These are all treatable conditions if detected early. Parents will not get any feedback on the results of this test unless a positive screening results, in which case they will be contacted for a second screening. The healthy hearing test is a non-invasive hearing test whereby small sensor pads are placed around the baby's head to detect their response to clicking sounds that are played softly via earphones through the baby's ears. Parents will be notified immediately if their baby has passed or failed the test, and referral for further testing may be made if hearing is a concern. Coping with separation from mother and baby and other children. During an incarceration period, separation causes emotional, physical, financial, and mental strain on the relationship between the parents of the baby and also the baby or children and their parents. As an incarcerated father, this situation would be very difficult to deal with, but some strategies may be put in place to lessen the impact. Incarcerated fathers may encourage their partners to visit them and bring children to visit them to continue the paternal bond. Writing letters to the mother of the baby will allow her to feel less alone and allow the father to feel closer to her and the baby. Checking in with the mother of the child regularly and listening to her concerns and issues while suggesting strategies to help her cope will allow her to feel supported, even though the father is not physically able to support her at all times. Fathers can spend their visiting time cuddling, talking to, and rocking their newborn, as this will encourage the bond and allow the newborn to feel safe with their father. When they are not with their partner or children, fathers can create stories and pictures to give to their children to be visualized and read at home. The same is true for video and voice recording. The role of the father in the life and care of the newborn baby is significant to the partner and the child as well as the father himself. By learning about and being aware of what to expect regarding his baby, a father can adequately support his partner and enhance his own relationship with his child. Separation from the child and the partner during this time would be difficult. However, by utilising strategies to encourage closeness and assisting where possible in co-parenting, fathers can still make a positive impact on their family's life.